Hip-hop mogul Sean Diddy Combs set to be sentenced today in Manhattan federal court after being convicted on prostitution-related charges. Prosecutors urging the judge to hand down at least 11 years, while Combs' lawyers are requesting just 14 months, most of that being time served. Joining us now, criminal defense attorney, our good friend Eric Faddis. Eric, good to have you with us. How you doing?
Very well. Good to be with you.
All right. So overnight, Combs' defense team releasing this 12-minute video highlighting him as a philanthropist and a family man. And that's expected to be played in court today. Do you expect a video like this to have any influence on the judge's decision when you've got the flip side of the victim statements, including his former girlfriend, who says, please don't release him. It's a threat to me and my family?
You know, Chris, the judge has to look at sentencing from kind of a holistic approach. So certainly the bad stuff, but also the good stuff. And according to Diddy, this is some of the good stuff. His contributions to the community, his connection to his family, the fact that his family needs him going forward. I think it's kind of an attempt to perhaps garner sympathy. Judges typically don't like that, but it sort of does detail some of the mitigating information could have some impact.
All right, walk me through this, how prosecutors arrived at this recommendation of 11 years in prison for him.
Yeah, Chris, so the prosecutors claim that Diddy is unrepentant. They reference what they call decades of unchecked violence. They talk about Diddy's physical, emotional, and psychological harm that he inflicted upon the victims. Notably, they also seeking an enhancement under the sentencing guidelines for fraud and coercion, but those are elements of sex trafficking on which Diddy was acquitted.
So he was acquitted of those more significant, serious charges. Does that factor into the judge's decision today? I mean, you've got obviously two ends of the spectrum here. One side wants 11 plus years, the other wants 14 months, with most of that being time served. So where do you think the judge then kind of finds that middle ground?
Sure. So, when this case started, there were sort of these sensational allegations. We thought we would see like Caligula-esque orgies and sexual servitude in chains. And that just wasn't what the evidence was. Some judges will see that as, hey, these charges were overblown and the defendant was convicted only of the least serious charges. On the other hand, the judge is going to look at and weigh heavily the victim impact statement, particularly from Casa Ventura, where she says she fears retaliation if he's released.
Diddy's team has already signaled plans to appeal. On what grounds could they argue that? How strong an argument do you think they would have?
I think they're going to ride a similar horse that they rode in their motion for a new trial, essentially arguing that this concept of prostitution, it's not defined under the Mann Act. And should it apply to a situation where a person, the John, doesn't have any sexual contact with the sex worker? They're saying it shouldn't. The prosecution is saying, yes, of course, did he engage in sexual activity in the form of self-gratification? It does qualify as prostitution. That issue might have some traction on appeal, but still a very high bar to try to overturn that conviction.
And Eric, just kind of help me out with this. You're the professional here. If his team were to appeal the charges that he was acquitted on, during an appeal process of having to relitigate all of this, could there potentially be some danger out there of maybe not having such a favorable opinion if they were to go back and rehash all this?
They wouldn't appeal any of the acquittals. They would really only be appealing the convictions and the sentences that will be handed down today. Could that somehow impair Diddy's legal position going forward? Probably not in this case. However, it could have impacts on the multitude of other cases that he is facing. Information could come out that could be problematic for those cases.
Got it. Okay, that's kind of what I was asking. I didn't know if they could go back and revisit those other charges that he was acquitted on. Thank you for clearing that up for me, Eric. Good to see you as always. Thank you.
Good to see you, Chris.
All right. And when that sentence does come down, we will bring you live team coverage from outside the courthouse. And you can find our complete coverage on this case at our website at cbsnewyork.com.